program for day 2 is easy. The crews will have to tackle 2 consecutive stages each time before receiving the opportunity to visit the service park. This means that throughout day 2, they will have to calculate their pace accordingly, as you can't afford a mistake on the first stage of a 2-stage loop. Stages 4 and 5 add another 26 kilometers to the rally distance.
With all the drama and excitement from day 1, everyone was expecting a normal day on day 2. But rallying is an unpredictable sport and the drama started early on. Rally leaders Mark Cronje and Robert Paisley were the first ones to tackle stage 1, but the Castrol Toyota Auris was already in trouble. It didn't take long before second place Johnny Gemmell and Drew Starrett caught up with their Castrol Toyota teammates and got stuck in their dust. Gemmell lost precious seconds behind his teammate.
Now the guys behind us are a bit back, but now they'll be right with us, so I don't know what we're going to do this next one.
Cronje might have completed the stage, but the drama was far from over as the Castrol Toyota Auris was in no shape to attempt stage 5. And with no service until after stage 5, Cronje and Paisley were forced to carry out emergency repairs on the side of the road. This allowed Gemmell to overtake his teammate on the road, leaving him with a clean way ahead. Seconds later, Cronje set off in an attempt to complete the stage. But it wasn't to be, as the damage to the Castrol Toyota Auris was too severe. The former rally leader had no choice but to throw in the towel and retire.
We stage 1, probably 30 meters in. There was a left 6 over jump and I misread the jump. The road was sort of off camber, so it pitched us into the wrong side of the road with an oversteer, and it pulled us into a bank. And we bent the right front. Try to get it going, and unfortunately we couldn't. It's just game over.
With a clean road ahead of them, new rally leaders Johnny Gemmell and Drew Starrett were now back up to speed and set a very fast time on stage 5. Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe sniffed blood and upped their pace by winning stage 4 in the Pertec Toyota Auris. Another fast time on stage 5, and Latergan, who started the day a full minute and 26 seconds behind the lead, was now just 30 seconds back and chasing his best ever result. Cronje's demise opened the door for everyone else to close the gap to the lead, including Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford, who set the second and third fastest times on stages 4 and 5 respectively, to also close the gap to new second-place man Latergan. Behind Habig, the Total Evolution Toyotas of Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz and JP Damso and Caroline Swan were having an epic battle for 4th position. Rueda started the day 13 seconds ahead of Damso, but the latter closed the gap by 8 seconds on stage 4 and went another 9 seconds faster on stage 5 to move past his teammate and straight into 4th position. Jaco van Dijk and Des de Voorkeer were now up to 6th. It was by far the Namibian driver's best ever performance since driving an S2000 Polo on South African soil. Gugu Zulu and Cindy Harding were even more impressive behind the wheel of the Class A7 BP Ultimate Polo by occupying 7th at this stage of the rally. It was Harding's first rally since she survived the accident that claimed the life of Paul Pfeiffer more than a year ago.
I'm really glad and honored to have Cindy sitting next to me. I mean, she's a veteran at her game.
I need that. It's been a long gap and I need a good result today.
The leaderboard changes once again, and for the first time, it's the name of Johnny Gemmell that appears at the top.
Got to the next stage, we checked in before him, then we had a clear run through that one.
Latergan is in a career-best 2nd position, but he has a determined multiple champion in the form of Jan Habig breathing down his neck.
For now, I think we just got to keep the pace and keep the pressure on and see if we can eke away at the lead.
Off to stages 6 and 7, where the battle for Rally of South Africa glory continues. Johnny Gemmell's lead over Hein Latergan is what should be a comfortable 30 seconds. But on stage 6, the Pertec Toyota Auris of Latergan and van der Merwe closed the gap by a full 11 seconds. On stage 7, Gemmell and Starrett managed to restore the order by setting the fastest time again. But on the overall standings, Latergan was still only 21 seconds behind. So Latergan had his sights set on Gemmell's first place, but behind them, Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford had plans to join this party, and knowing Habig, to even spoil it. The BP Ultimate Polo was 19 seconds behind Latergan, and on this event, 19 seconds did not mean much. JP Damso, Caroline Swan were now up to speed in the Total Evolution Toyota Run-X. Damso was also setting top 3 times and made 4th position his own.
Marc Cronje's name is missing, but it's still a Castrol Toyota at the top. Johnny Gimmel leads Hein Lateghan by 21 seconds, with Jan Habig on the prowl in third. It's good to see the name of Damso near the top of the leaderboard again, while Fernando Roida and Jaco van Dijk were on course for their best ever S2000 remain in the Rally of South Africa. The stages that will decide who the winners of round 4 and possibly the new championship leaders are going to be.
As always, late on the final day of a rally, it was time to jockey for final and top 10 positions. It was no doubt a disappointing event for the Ford of Conrad Rautenbach and Peter Marsh and the Basil Reed Bizup version of Charles Wilkin and Greg Godrich. Both cars fell out on day 1, but fortunately for the many Ford fans, the cars were allowed back on the stages under the Super Rally rules, which allow them to drive the stages on day 2, but the times would not count for anything. For both teams, this proved to be the ideal test session as they set impressive stage times. But this sort of pace only served as consolation as they weren't classified as finishers, but it holds promise for the remaining battles of the year. Evan Hutchison and Alvin Coetzee started the final day all the way down in 20th position. The Motorrad Polo driver steadily worked his way up the leaderboard while gaining valuable experience in the S2000 machine that is only driven for 4 events. And he was rewarded with a final position inside the top 10. Nicholas Ryan and Jeff Tyrer were in almost the same boat starting day 2 well down the field. But the Avis and Gabriel Polo driver kept his head down and returned good times to work his way back up the leaderboard. Ryan finally managed to enter the top 10 after stage 8. In the end, his persistence was rewarded with 9th position, a fine result in an event as tough as the Rally of South Africa. A finish on an event with such a high rate of attrition is always an accomplishment. A top 10 result in a lower class car is even better, but that's exactly what Chart Conradi and Tian Rabe did in their Class A6 Silverton Engineering Hencom Auto Body Toyota Auris. The car is just a 1600 with only front-wheel drive, but a solid performance saw Conradi not only in the top 10, but 8th overall. For most of day 2, Guga Zulu and Cindy Harding were occupying 7th position in the Class A7 BP Ultimate Volkswagen Polo, but gearbox problems intervened, causing 20 minutes of lateness and leaving the car sounding very rough as they were forced to cruise through the final few stages. Zulu's misfortune is exactly what Leroy Polter and Henry Dearlove needed to gain another position in their Class A6 Imperial Toyota Runex. For many, circuit racer Polter is the find of the season since swapping tar for dirt, and finishing 7th in a 1600cc front-wheel drive car on an event this tough must go down as the drive of the event.
Unbelievable. I think we didn't think we would come up this far, but the car ran just faultlessly, and we enjoyed the rally.
Mohamed Musa and Grant Martin are the 2009 Class A6 champions, but have since swapped their car for the Total Evolution Class S2000 Runex. It's been a rocky ride so far for the Tsenin businessman, crashing heavily in Natal and again rolling on the Sasol Rally. Musa started day 2 in a lonely 14th position, but worked his way up with some fast times to reach the Ermelo finish in 6th position, exactly the confidence boost he needed. At the start of the season, Jaco van Dijk was a bit of an unknown factor, as he's never competed on South African soil before. But since teaming up with experienced navigator Des de Fortier, the Namibian driver has grown in leaps and bounds and is driving the Volkswagen Polo with more commitment on every outing. Van Dijk also managed to put his day 1 troubles behind him and fought his way up to an excellent 5th place overall. By far, his best ever result on a round of the Sasol South African Rally Championship. Consistency is what Fernando Rueda and Dave Lefkowitz were all about on day 2. The Spaniard, now well into his 2nd year behind the wheel of the Total Evolution Toyota Runex, was chasing his best ever result in S2000, but it wasn't easy. Rueda had no clutch for the entire 2nd day, starting the car at each stage on the starter motor. The starter was replaced as a precaution during the day, but Rueda was well aware that a stall or an overshoot would result in his retirement. He didn't make any mistakes and reached the Ermelo finish in 4th position overall. At the top of the leaderboard, we still had a fierce battle for the final podium positions. Hein Lateghan and Johan van der Merwe had a sniff of a possible win and kept going hard. For the first time this year, and since moving to the Premier S2000 class, the Burtec Toyota Auris mixed it up with the factory cars and even set a few faster stage times along the way. But it ended in tears for Lateghan when they rolled out of the event early on in stage 8. The impact even left Lateghan unconscious for a few moments. But after Van der Merwe dragged him out of the car, all was well, and they will both be back to fight another day.
I was knocked out for a little while. I remember I had to catch the car and I thought something is going wrong, and the next moment I was sitting on the side of the road on a rock.
Latergan's retirement moved JP Damser and Callan Swan up into third position. It was the Total Evolution team's best outing since this event last year, but Damser had a late scare when the differential in his Ranix backed up with just a few kilometers to go. He nursed the car around the final super special stage on the outskirts of Ermelo and just managed to stay ahead of the pack to claim his first podium place finish in 12 months. This result also propelled him to the head of the inaugural Privateers Rally Championship. With Latergan's crash, the battle for overall victory became a fight between the Castrol Toyota Auris of Johnny Gemmell and Drew Starrock and the BP Ultimate Polo of Jan Habig and Ralph Pitchford. Gemmell had the lead since early on day 2, but Habig doesn't need an invitation to fight for a win. The 6 times national champion was now piling on the pressure. The deficit to Gemmell's Toyota was still around 40 seconds, but on stage 8, Habig put in a blistering performance. In an effort to fend off the attack, Gemmell also pushed hard, but it nearly ended in tears at exactly the same spot where Latergan rolled. The Castrol Toyota Auris hit the same series of bumps and nearly rolled over. Fortunately, they didn't, but around 16 seconds were lost and Habig was now closing in.
Yeah, on that first of these last 2, we hit a jump and went up in the air and broke the seat. So the second one, this last one, I did with the seat flopping around and it wasn't too comfortable, but it's close. It's 14 seconds.
Another fastest time on stage 9 for Habig, and the gap was down to just 14 seconds. But Gemmell responded on the following stage and increased it again to 17 seconds. All eyes were on the battle between Gemmell and Habig for overall rally glory, but behind them, the remaining field was battling just as hard in the Ekbest to finish. In spite of their problems, Guga Zulu and Cindy Harding managed to wrap up Class A7 in the BP Ultimate Polo. In Class N4, a second consecutive victory for the Top Gear Motors Subaru of Joos and Danny Stassen was enough to take the overall Class N4 championship lead. Like most other crews, the Stassens had an eventful day, but still managed to beat their arch rivals Chart Coetzee and Pierre Jordan. The Midas Subaru of Coetzee ended the tough rally of South Africa just 43 seconds behind. Leroy Polter's sterling drive to 7th overall was good enough for the Class A6 win ahead of Chart Conradi. Class veteran Craig Trott and Robbie Coetzee used every bit of experience to reach the tough Rally of South Africa finish. They claimed 3rd in Class A6 in the Total Evolution Toyota Ranix. Overnight Class A5 leaders Morna Jansen van Rensburg and Derek Jacobs had a day to forget behind the wheel of the BP Ultimate City Golf. They lost their lead after stage 7 when the Golf picked up a fuel starvation problem that started a tumble down the leaderboard. This allowed class championship points leaders Ashley Haig-Smith and Hilton Orfrey to move up into 2nd position in their team React Toyota Yaris, but the class belonged to former class champion Andre Kleenberg and Kes Naidu. The BP Ultimate City Golf was also sounding rough towards the end, but they did enough to get their season and championship campaign back on track. Megan and Oliver Verlaque were dominant in Class N3 and held onto the overnight lead to claim a comfortable class win. The similar Toyota Ranix of Abdul Rahman Amla and Yusuf Ghanif finished 2nd ahead of the Link Africa Ford Fiesta of Robson Maganese and Kenny Hill.
With only 2 runs over the short super special stage on the outskirts of Ermelo to go, Johnny Gemmell had a 17-second advantage over his rival Habig. But will it be enough?
Yeah, it should be, but it's not over till the end.
Combined, these 2 stages only cover 8 kilometers, and 8 kilometers is not normally enough time to close a 17-second gap.
Not really, but what we can do is just sit as close as possible and, let's see what they do.
The fight for victory between Habig and Gemmell was not only on paper, but now also on the same stage, as these 2 lined up to race each other around the Super Special. After 2 different loops of the same stage, and if it's a closed dice, both should reach the flying finish at the same time. But in a last mad dash to the line, it's the BP Ultimate Polo that comfortably beats the Castrol Toyota. To make matters even worse for Gemmell, he got nailed by Habig's dust and had to stop, losing precious seconds in the process. Habig closes the gap by a massive 10 seconds in just 4 kilometers. The gap was down to just 7 seconds with 1 short stage to go. Could there be drama this close to the end? Habig will win this dice again as he's about to cross the flying finish in a time of 3 minutes and 3.5 seconds. But will it be enough to snatch the victory from Gemmell? The clock is ticking as Gemmell approaches the finish. It's going to be close. Yes, Johnny Gemmell wins the rally by just 7/10 of a second.
He's going fast there, man.
An emphatic victory for Johnny Gemmell and Drew Sturrock, who managed to fend off the late charge by Jan Habig and Ralph Pittred by just 7/10 of a second. It's the closest winning margin in the history of South African rallying, and that's after 13 stages and 187 kilometres of flat-out gravel racing. JP Damso fills the final podium position ahead of Royder and a career best finish for Van Dijk. 2 Class A6 cars also make it into the top 10. Spraying the champagne from any step on the podium is a fantastic result. And with his 3rd place, JP Damso takes the lead in the Privateers Championship.
This year has been going well. We've got 4 finishes and we're happy with that.
The difference between the second and the top step was less than a second after one of the best last-minute charges ever seen.
Well, we tried hard. I think Johnny drove extremely well. We all got away with incidents or 2, and yeah, it was a good result for us. I'm happy.
But what a win for Johnny Gemmell and Toyota, who survived the tough roads and Habig challenge to emerge victorious on the Rally of South Africa.
No, this one was tight. It's only points of seconds decided this one. After yesterday, we started off with a lead over Yanni of about 1.5 minutes this morning. So, you know, we're going to take it easy. So he really hauled us in there by the end. And this last one was pretty exciting.
The Sasol South African Rally Championship takes a 7-week break over the FIFA Soccer World Cup and will return on the 23rd and 24th of July with a Volkswagen Rally in the Eastern Cape. The Volkswagen Rally is a tough test for both man and machine and includes a number of